Today on the Doc on the Run podcast, we're talking about how you have to slow down if you want to speed up. Now, before we get started in this episode, I just wanted to tell you I have something that you might find really useful. I created this thing called the 3-day fast track. And if you have an overtraining injury and you're trying to get back to running, you really have to do a couple of things to recover and get back to running as quickly as possible. You need to figure out how bad the injury is. You need to figure out how to assess whether or not you can really get back to running and move to the next level of running intensity without making the injury worse. And that's all the stuff that I teach you in the free 3-day fast track challenge. So you can sign up. It's going to be on the website and in the show notes under this episode. You can also sign up by going to docontherun.com/fast track, and you can register for free there. So go check it out. Now, let's play the intro and we'll get into this episode. So the big question is this: how are runners like us, who don't like hearing doctors say, just stop running, who know that we simply have to stay active, how do we heal in a way that lets us stay strong, maintain our running fitness, and keep preparing for the next race, and still heal without making the injury worse? Well, that is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Dr. Christopher Segler, and welcome to the Doc on the Run podcast. I was just having a discussion with a runner during a telemedicine visit, and we were talking about the things that she could do to actually accelerate her recovery from a running injury. And she was trying to figure out what activities she'd been doing. And she'd been kind of yo-yoing through this cycle where she does some workouts, she does some short runs, and then she feels good, and then she does a little bit too much, and she backs up because she keeps getting re-injured and aggravating the injury over and over and over. And the real situation here is that she's just pushing her recovery too fast. And, if you think about the way that you train, we do periodization in training where you don't do this linear ramping up of activity. But unfortunately, that's what I see people do when they're recovering from running injuries. You're strong, you're healthy, then you get injured and you start to lose all your fitness, but your brain still thinks you're super strong and still super healthy and ready to run long distances, even if you're not really ready. So if you follow the unfortunate standard routine of just taking time off of running for weeks, you've really lost a lot of fitness. You're weaker, you're stiffer, you've lost your neuromuscular connections. And when you go back to running, that actually puts you in a bad situation because not only are you weaker because of your poor form and your poor coordination, you're actually likely to load things at higher peak forces and load them asymmetrically in ways that kind of tweak them a little bit more. And then that can cause a re-injury. And so, I don't understand why it's such a tough concept for runners to get when they're injured, but, nobody would sign up for a marathon and then just go run day after day after day, increasing their mileage every single day without backing back down to have a rest period. So some people build that in every week where you have a very specific rest day. Some people build in periodization where you have week after week, you're getting stronger and stronger, but then every few weeks you actually drop down, you reduce your training load. And as a consequence, you actually fully recover. And then you're able to train a lot harder in the next block as you accelerate upward again. And a lot of times, runners, as we're recovering, you start doing activity. You go to the gym, you do some core work, you start walking on a treadmill, you run on an anti-gravity treadmill, you're doing lots of cycling, you're doing something, but then you just start to ramp up in a linear fashion and not with any kind of periodization that gives you an actual time to rest. So remember, you don't get stronger when you run, you get stronger when you rest after you run. And the same is true when you're recovering. You have to push the limits if you really want to get back to running as quickly as possible, but you also have to make sure that you're slowing down in between those sessions so that you really can recover fully so you don't develop another overtraining injury. That's really the crucial piece. So remember, if you want to speed up your recovery, make sure you take time every once in a while to slow down and give it a recovery. That's what you really need to do if you really want to speed up and get back to running as quickly as possible. Listen, if you just got injured, you need to take action right now. And if you've been injured and you are not getting better and you need to figure out what to do to get back to running and keep training and not lose all your running fitness, you need to take action. But the thing that you really need to do more than anything else is probably not what you really think. Most of the runners who call me are looking for some magical solution or something that they can do to make them run even when they're injured that is going to be magical. And there is no such magic, but there is something you can do. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. Now, I made something for you that's a 3-day training. It's free, and it's how to fast track your running injury in record time. Now, during this free 3-day training, what I'll show you is, number one, what I learned when I got injured in medical school and why it was wrong, what I learned when I got injured right before an Ironman race that was right, and the third thing I'm going to show you is the 5-step process that worked for me that can work for you too. So there are 5 things that you're going to learn. Number 1, can you run right now and not lose your running fitness? Number 2, how can you figure out how bad the injury is right now? How can you remove the confusion that's caused by inflammation right now? And how can you reduce the tissue stress so you can train now? And then how to safely test, retest, and keep running. Now again, this is a free training. It's free. You don't have to pay anything. It's 3 days, but you're going to get immediate access if you just go to docontherun.com/fast-track. And I'm going to show you how to fast track your running injury. So go to docontherun.com/fast-track and grab your seat now. I'll see you in the training.